Onegaishimasu. Okay, well, let's just start with a short Zazen session. So might be a nice opportunity, especially if you've had a hectic day or you've had a day. So just a few moments of clearing the mind, opening the body. The mind and breath settle into the abdomen. Weight settles underside in the body while we keep an open, upright body structure. Each out breath is a conscious, releasing breath. Then hands in the lap and rolling the shoulders together, back, up, forward, and down. Nice deep breathing as we do that. And the other way. Then alternating, and notice what that does for your spine. And other way. And a little turn for the neck. And ear to the shoulder, starting very gentle. And then chin down to the chest, and chin up to the ceiling. And rolling chin along the chests. Back to center, slowly up. Something that we sometimes do in kids class for the neck is we write our name with our chin. So. Okay, swinging the arms. Let middle shoulder joints release and open. Just using natural forces of gravity and momentum. Of course, you can sit cross-legged anytime. And vertical. Let your hands, your thumbs touch the back of your shoulders. On the way up, they go behind. Shaking hands out, turning side to side. Shaking up, breathing in, breathing out, 3 drops. Rocking right through the body. And coming across for a stretch. And Manucci to the front corners. Ich, ni, san, shi, o, ro, sich, hach, gu, ju. And then stretching to the back corner. And then trunk rotations, and we use hands and arms for support. So if you put both arms to one side, you've got a nice stretch and turn. Okay. And a little bit of stretch. And again, we're doing much more than physical stretching. So this is breath work, it's mind work. So send your intention, send your breath through your body, especially the part of the body that you're stretching. And that will help prevent any contraction, constriction, and resisting into the stretch. We want the opposite, opening into the stretch, through the stretch. So you need to be mindful so you're not going further than what the body is willing to open up to. And then you can do some good intentional work, good energetic work. Breath energy moving through the legs, the hips, legs, feet. Breathing through that area you're stretching. And we'll bring it in here. So I'm actually sending my mind, my intention, my breath into the hip joints and that part of the body. I'm moving and stretching, so it becomes very yoga-like in that we're coordinating mind and body, joining mind and body, sinking the mind into the body, and linking the breath energy into that. And so it's internal work. It's not just a physical stretch. In fact, the physical stretch is just a byproduct. I'm releasing, sending my mind and breath down, releasing down, opening out. That's a movement of mind and breath. And I just let the body follow, so I get a natural stretch. So you're very much into your body. Of course, normal way or Western way of approaching is very external. You can be pushing your body, pushing the cables of your muscles and ligaments, but you might as well just be on a machine doing it for you. This is doing it from the inside out. So enter my body, move my intention, my breath energy through the body. Over time, that really does open the body physically and energetically, not just pulling on the tissues. So again, I sink down through the hips, down and out. That's my mind, that's my breath. So the same lengthening process we do with the planks and the other exercises we do. The lengthening is what brings my toes back. I open and lengthen out through my heels, out through my feet. That will bring the toes back, as opposed to contracting the shin muscles. That's a tightening, contracting. I empty my legs, extend out, stretch out through my legs. That creates that stretch. And rotating, this is quite nice for the lower back and the ball joints of the hips. But again, you get benefit if you just move your physical body. But it's not the internal work and doesn't make the internal changes of the body if you have the mind and breath ahead of the movement. So this is reflecting what my mind and breath are doing. And other way. And a little turn. Again, breathe through that stretch. Settle or wait underside, and then stretch through. Mind and breath stretching through the body. Settle, and then extend, reach from inside your body, as if your body is an empty tube. Empty conduit for your mind and breath to flow through. Okay, so we'll do some ukemi, and we'll start with things that we're somewhat familiar with. So the rolling back and forth, issuing from center line, very finely aware, attending to our center line. And we'll start where we just keep everything the same. Maybe take a quick look, make sure you have enough room for your rollback. And another aspect of doing things internally or more in an integrated fashion than just doing it muscularly. When we say tuck the chin, when we do any ukemi, front roll, back roll, this drill, tucking the chin is usually how we say it, right? But again, that's a very muscular thing. There is a more internal way of doing it, a more holistic way, more integrated way of doing it. And that's placing your head on your chest. And even further than that is it's aligning your energy so you're a ball. So if I was just to do it mechanically, I'm just firing these muscles here. And so then you're only as strong, that support, the integrity of that shape is only as strong as these two muscles here. Not very strong. You can connect yourself, make yourself whole, make yourself one unit with awareness and intention. So you make the shape inside and your body follows that. A step along the way to help you with that, to go in that direction, is you look towards your tailbone or you put your chin towards the pubic bone. Just the feeling, the intention that you're not just doing this. And then just before you come forward, consciously send the mind forward, strong extension forward, so much so that it should draw and pull you forward. Then you get some good physical stretching in the hips. Now you want to make sure you're not rounding your back. My shoulders are coming up here, rounding the back. It's the hips are rotating. Rotating from the hips, not rounding my back. So weight underside. Okay, so again, we'll keep the same side forward. Each. Coming forward, strong extension, knee. Head on the chest, san. Chi, round the back. By the way, we'll just pause there for a moment. When I say round the back, I don't actually mean just this way. Tucking the chin rounds the back, but when I said round the back there, I actually meant widthwise. Your shoulder blades separate apart. So I'm rounding this way. I'm also rounding this way. So become very, very spherical. Okay. G. Whoa. Okay, let's come back. I want to go a step further. Again, make this more internal or more mindful, more integrative energetically and physically. And this will apply, it's a good exercise to do this with because it's quite simple. But when you actually do ukemi, when you do standing rolls, front rolls, back rolls, rolls from a height, any roll, you want to be doing this. So this is a good drill to start to work with this, is you're mindful of every point of contact. So this next set that we do here, we'll have the other side forward. If this is my spine, as you roll back, your mind should be at every little point of contact, like you're mindfully, intentfully massaging your spine by your own body weight as it touches the ground. So you're right there, an intimate, aware contact with the part of the body that's contacting the ground. So if this is my spine and it's rolling along the floor, my mind is right there where the vertebrae is touching the floor. So your mind is rolling along your spine as it makes physical contact with the ground. Okay. Each. Rolling forward, knee. On. Sheet. Oh. And just to bring in some good shape, good movement, good angles, good alignment. Let's be reminded of, we could say Minucci, but holding the sword. So you may or may not have noticed that there's some movement in my arms and hands, and it's exactly like doing some showman cuts. So my fingers arc back. That's the hand blades being exposed forward or rotating at the base of the thumb, and then rotating forward. So if I isolate that, that's coming from my elbows through the hand blade. So maybe I'll turn sideways so you can see that better. So I'm not just keeping my arms stiff and extended in a brittle, stiff way. So there's some alive movement there. It's exactly this motion here. So if I were to do a few of those. So everything is sword. Sword is a very good image and symbol because it makes things sharper, cleaner, aligned, connected. I come back and integrated and unified. This is not happening here. It's happening from my center. It's happening because of my intention. So it's not something that's isolated here. It's the whole being. Everything is moving as a unit. So if you want to even imagine you have a sword, of course, if you had an actual physical sword, you run into the ground there. So luckily, it's an energy sword or a mind sword, so you don't have to worry about the ground. But treat it just like a sword with your arm movement, your fingertips, your hand blade. Try a few on your own just to work that feeling out, and you find a timing that really integrates everything, brings the movement together. So you might find once you start to employ that shomanuchi type action, especially if you're mindful of your tegetana, your hand blades, makes everything sharper, cleaner, unified, connected, coordinated, all of that.
Sensei, can I ask a question about the rounding, like the two sides together? Because one of the things I'm wondering about is, does it automatically set up that you would be rolling right on your spine? Or do you find that with that rounding, you might roll a little left or right of center? Again, in regular practice, you roll kind of however you're coming out, right? So it might not be pure in that sense.
Yes, interesting. That question has never, ever come up. I don't think anyone's ever asked me that before. So that's interesting in itself. I would say it's right on the spine.
Okay.
But let me just make sure. So I roll back, I roll forward. Yeah, I'm certainly not trying to roll to one side of the spine to avoid the spine. I'm right on the spine. Later on, actually, it's interesting that this question is coming up. You're asking it because part of the ukemi drill that's coming up, I have to have in mind, is going onto either side of the spine, not on the spine. But this is directly on the spine. This is my spine. Now, if I'm on a particularly hard surface, I might choose to go one side of the spine. And that's actually part of the application of a ukemi drill that we might do in a few minutes. But think of a very clean, clear, accurate, geographically accurate center line. So that's the spine. Yeah. Now let's do the same thing, but now with the switching of the hands and feet. So we're going to be switching. So before you come forward, you switch, and you can use the switching as part of the physical momentum to bring you forward. Again, strong intentional flow forward. And you can get lots of nice action with that shomanuchi movement. Remember, that means fingertips come back, your thumbs come back, and then rotating forward, rotating back, rotating forward. Turn at a slight angle. So then you just switch your feet. So let's try it, start together. So each, extend forward, rotate the hips, knee, on, knee, roll. Try a few on your own. Get the timing of the switching of the hands and arms to propel you forward, to help with that movement forward. Employ your hand blades. Use your intention through your hand blades. Be very precise awareness of your center line. Let the physical momentum and mental momentum draw you forward, rotate the hips forward, and you get a nice stretch in the hips. Keep the flexibility of the hips and experience the mind leading the body. Okay. Any thoughts or questions on that or thus far? So this we've done before as well. A little pet name for it is stuffed teddy bear. And to break that down, and feel free if you want to do it very stochastically at first, is, of course, right shape, hit on the chest. You fall right to the side. So if I was to really break this down, it's here. I'm totally on my side completely. I roll across my back, across the width of my back to the other side. In fact, just do that a couple times from one side to the other. Just do that a few times. One side to the other. Stay nice and round and keep flowing your mind out through your limbs. Keeping the mind flowing out, that intentional current integrates your body even more and also makes your body less pervious to injury and pain flowing out. Okay, so let's start again fairly basic, where we'll roll up to this position and roll back to this position. So that looks like this. To the side, across the back, up, and then back the other way. To the side, across the back, up, side, across the back, up, and back. Now, very simple, and we've all done this before. So the refinement would be, how soft and relaxed can you be? How inviting to the ground are you? Are you shirking and resisting the ground? It's like, oh, is your body going, oh no, every inch every millimeter that your ground is about to touch, your body is about to touch the ground? Are you bracing? Are you shirking? You want the opposite. Every millimeter that's about to touch, you open, stretch, lengthen, open, to greet the ground in an opening fashion, not a crunching fashion. Let's pause for a moment. Let's pause for a moment. Maybe I can isolate that a bit more. So this would, everyone here has done some amount of ukemi, some experience with ukemi. And so going further, refining it. This is a mind and body thing. Intention mainly. Mind mainly. So as every millimeter of my body touches the ground, just like we did with here, I want to be present, my mind, with every vertebrae that's touching the body, or every millimeter. Same thing, and now we're going a different direction. Now, this is a fairly simple move. We've all done this to one extent or another. What I'd like you to be cognizant of is how much you are shirking in, bracing, holding. So I'm going to try to exaggerate. Maybe it'll come across a little bit visually. And certainly someone who's new at this wouldn't be exaggerating at all. that probably comes across a little bit, right? There are some sound effects. Literally holding, bracing, concretizing, you know, in this fearful anticipation of touching the ground. We want to go in the other direction. We want to open to invite the ground, open to let the body actually be massaged by the ground. So this here, I actually had quite a pleasant experience of the ground massaging me and the ground opening up my spine. So I need to be willing for that to happen. It's just like going for a real massage and the massage practitioner is working on you. And if that muscle, that part of the body isn't willing to receive that pressure, receive that massage, it's fighting it. It's fighting the massage. You have to have a certain amount of mind-body awareness, control, and connection to allow that to work its way into you. So when I do these back rolls, I'm allowing the ground to massage my spine and the muscles along my spine. And so my weight and the pressure of the ground literally opens up my vertebrae and spreads and lengthens the muscles along the vertebrae. It's the same with this. As each millimeter is about to touch the ground, I open in an inviting, embracing way. So let's say this is the next part of my body that's going, whether it's my arm or my back, that's going to touch the ground, land on the ground. That's why we do this. I open up to the ground like this. That little part of the body opens up to the ground. And then the ground is allowed to massage you and literally roll you and give back to you. So you can't just make that happen right away, but it won't take long before you can start to tap into that. The main thing in the beginning is notice how you're not doing that, how you're doing. You're literally turning into this brittle cement figure trying to protect yourself from the ground. And it's going to be the exact opposite. You're going to open to melt, become open and round. See if that comes across. So literally I start open and spherical, and I just open further and further and further as I meet the ground. It's a complete opening process through the whole roll. And this is simple enough, or eventually, after some experience with it, it's simple enough and safe enough that you can start to work with your mind and body to open, release, lengthen into the contact, because the normal way is to contract into the contact, right? So stay with this simple one and see how much you can open, or simply be aware how much you're holding on and bracing. It'll be an opening, releasing process eventually, and literally a massage effect. Okay. Now, let's just take it a little bit further where we just simply go in the same direction. But approximately 4 of those brings you back to the same direction. So 4 one way or 4 the other way, or however many you'd like. Go in one direction to really work that quality and feeling in one direction, and then the other direction. So go ahead on your own. Take your time. Feel it out. Take your time to meet and greet the ground. So relate to the ground as your friendly support. Go slow enough so that you are able to have the right mind quality and not react and resist to the ground. Okay. Okay, now let's just go a little further with that. So the introductory stage for this next one is no different than what we just did, where we went side to side. We're not going to do a full, not even going to come up yet. Just practice rolling across the back and give us a chance to isolate that movement. Work on keeping the back nice and open, not bracing against the ground. Of course, when I brace against it, I become angular and squarish instead of spherical around. So that just creates problems. So just going from side to side, keeping the head on the chest, back nice and round. And emphasize at the end here that one side is up, leg and arm are up. Roll across, make your back as wide as you can. Make your back as wide and spherical as you can. And then the other side is up, leg and foot and arm. So really emphasizing the openness of the back. And also the lower back too, the hips, lower back, round and open. Okay. Then with a bit more energy, mental focus, we can come up a little bit higher. Next stage would be up to the knee. So I'm just going to roll across the back, just like we did, with a bit more energy and focus and direction until I come up on that leg. I'm going to switch sides so you can see what I'm doing with the arm. Then I touch down, downward Manucci. So I keep that round. And I roll along that arm, cross my back, come up on the other arm underneath. Now I want to make sure that my arm is not straight. That's where I'll jam everything. Wrist, elbow, shoulder all get jammed. If my arm is bent, I'll bang into my elbow. Again, I'll jam my shoulder. So it's Manucci down, so a gentle curve. So I go down, I go across that rounded arm, cross the back, over to the other rounded arm, up on that knee. So that foot will come in. So when I go across the back, as we just did, a top side is sticking up, top side sticking out, other leg comes in. So I touch down, roll across. So here, this is Yoko, this is on the side. Cross to the other side, cross the back to the other side, tuck in the bottom leg to come up on that knee. From a spherical, connected spherical shape, so your head is not separate. Cross your back. Okay. Now, just to go a little bit further with that, doing it from standing, but it'll be exactly the same process. Won't be any more intensive. Standing, back knee goes down. So now it's exactly like what we had. I touch down, I roll along my arm, cross my back, other arm, kneeling position, up. Down on the knee, lift the head, touch down, roll to the side, along the arm, cross your back, tuck the knee, standing. We go from standing to a full ukemi, back to standing. Take your time to touch down, roll along that arm on your side, cross the back to the other arm. Okay. Let's do one more. We won't have to stand up for this one. back down to here. It's exactly the same ukemi. We're just going to include that with this one. Kind of bring those two together. So, touch down, spherical, cross, one, into the teddy bear, and then up. And now I'm on the other side. So down on this knee, roll across, and add a teddy bear roll, and then you'll be up on the other side of the knee. So I go down, roll across along the arm, teddy bear roll, and then I come up on what will end up being the other knee. Okay. Teddy bear roll. So we're doing a side, we're on the side here, we roll across the body, and do a full teddy bear roll to come up on the other knee. Okay, so let's come up. And let's just work the knees out a little bit, forward and back. And rolling together. And scoot your hips forward to roll your spine up. Breathing in, opening, breathing out, back to center. Opening the body, lengthening and widening. And then consolidating. Lengthening, widening, spherically opening, and then condensing, consolidating back to center. Okay, let's bow out. Domo arigatou gozaimasu.
Domo arigatou gozaimasu.
Well, hopefully you're feeling libered up by now.
Yeah, thanks, Sensei.
Okay, we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Good to see you.